it's Danielle, and I'm so glad to see you joining me in your personal practice today. We're going to be doing a grounding flow today, so a little bit less intensity, less vinyasas, down dogs, up dogs, but just as much intentionality and activation. So we're going to get a good full workout, stretching everything, and just feeling grounded and ready for the day. So it's always great to have some blocks available if you'd like them. They give you a lot of support if you need them, but never required. And when you're ready, we'll go ahead and get started on our backs. So starting to just center in, get right into it. Maybe bringing your arms out in front of you and activating your core to slowly roll back vertebrae by vertebrae. And then when you get down, just start to center in. So you're welcome to put your legs out straight in front of you. Heels are in, feet flopping open. Maybe your hands are by your sides, palms up to receive. Or if you're like me and you need a little bit more low back support today, maybe taking your feet mat split, knees falling in to support each other. And then you can also take your hands, one on the belly, one on the heart. And it just helps you really start to feel and connect with your breath. So let's just take a few moments here at the beginning, just a few intentional breaths to just start to let go of whatever is going on in our lives off of the mat and just be fully present in this moment. You know, sometimes it's hard with our home practice that everything is easier to pop up and remind you. And so, as best you can, breath by breath, just letting it go just for the moment and being here in this pose. So let's seal that focus, that awareness in with one good breath together. So inhale fully, exhale fully, and then we will begin. So getting into a half happy baby to start. So taking that left leg, extending it out in front of you, maybe flexing the foot, keeping it active. Taking that right leg, maybe grabbing on just below the kneecap and bringing that knee down and around the right ribs and into that right shoulder. So you're welcome to keep it pulling in, keeping the hands on top of the shin. Just gets a little bit more strength in the arms and the activation. Or maybe you want to take your right hand to the outside of the right foot, start to bend that knee, getting it closer towards 90 and starting to pull down on that foot to kind of get it down into the right armpit a little bit differently. So both beautiful options, just depending on the day, one might feel better. And if you're going into that bent leg option, you can take your left hand and really pull it on the back of that right thigh and just kind of ground it in towards center. So either option, take some deep breaths and soften into that right hip, right leg. And then as you're ready, starting to rebend that leg just a little bit, taking your left hand on top and bringing it across your body, going into a little twist. So your right arm can extend out in front of you, or maybe cactus the arms, into the shoulders differently. And if you're like me, you're not quite open enough today, that knee is a little bit too high, you can take that block, put it right underneath your right knee. It gives you just a little bit more support and grounding. And again, depending on the time of day, the day of the week, your muscles might not be as ready, as open. So meet your body where it's at and support it to give it that good, healthy stretch. As we're in here, we're breathing into that right rib, really trying to find the length in the whole body. Maybe pressing the right shoulder down, pressing the right knee down. And one good slow breath. And then we release. So bringing that right knee back in through center. Maybe give it one more hug, one more squeeze into the shoulder. And the right leg goes straight. And going into the other side. So flexing your right foot, strong active leg, bending that left knee, either coming on just below the shins, maybe flexing the foot, keeping the full left leg active, and pulling it into that left shoulder. Or to go in deeper, starting to take that foot on the outside and pulling it into your left shoulder, really pulling down to get that force, that opening in the back of the hamstrings. And if you're taking that option, again, maybe taking that right hand to the back of the left thigh and pulling it in to really keeping it in line. And you're flexing that right foot, maybe digging that right heel in, gives a little bit more activation to kind of open your hips just a little bit more. And rolling your shoulder blades down. Can we find the length in the spine as we breathe softly? And then release. So bending your knees just a bit, starting to bring it across the body, going into that twist. And then again, setting up as needed. So I'm definitely not open just yet. You can see how much space I don't have. So I'm going to take that block underneath my left knee just to give it a little bit more support. My left arm is going out straight. I think the cactus, this feels a little bit too intense this early in the practice. And so a couple of breaths here. Maybe we're looking over our left hand. Maybe we're looking over to our right, just kind of feeling what feels good on the neck. And breathing into that whole left side of the body. Getting heavier and softer, breath by breath. Right, and then we're going to release. So taking that knee back through center, maybe giving it one last hug. And then let's go ahead and take both knees in through center, wrapping your arms around, keeping your legs side by side, not crisscrossed. Just squeezing them in, rolling the shoulder blades down, pressing in the full spine. One big belly breath. And then start to release the legs. Maybe take a moment, hands behind the thighs, and start to roll along your spine. So just take a couple of rounds here. It's waking up the back muscles, getting deep into the spine, and then using that momentum to come up into a tabletop. So we're looking for our hands under our shoulders, knees under our hips. Toes can be tucked or untucked, just feeling it out, what feels right today. And then on your next inhale, drop the belly, lead with the heart coming in through cow. And then exhale, pressing into the knuckles, rounding back for cats. Then on that inhale, leading with the heart into cow. And exhale, pushing the earth away, tucking the chin for cats. So maybe sticking with this traditional cat-cow, starting to move with your breath. Maybe closing the eyes makes it a little bit easier to tune into that natural movement and notice where you're tight, where you're stiff. Or maybe starting to invite some additional movements. So maybe bringing some hip circles in, maybe starting small and getting bigger. Maybe adding some shoulder circles, some barrel rolls, just what feels good for you today. And then if you are taking circles, let's go ahead and reverse them. Just looking for that full range of movement if we can get it. All right, then coming back through center, nice neutral spine, hugging your navel to spine, shoulders away from the ears. Can we extend the crown of the head forward and really feel strong in our back line? Then tuck your toes, and as you're ready, start to lift the hips, making your way into our first downward facing dog. So it's the first one of the day for me, definitely the first one of class. So take a moment here to feel it out. Maybe bending into one knee and the other, really feeling that activation, stretch in the calves. Maybe bending into both knees, really pressing the chest back to the thighs. Just feeling it out, helping reorient yourself in space with your head now below the heart. And then coming to stillness for a few breaths here before we really get into it. So really finding that firm foundation, pressing into your fingers, your knuckles, pressing the full palms in. Your inner elbows are shining forward, pressing the heart back, finding length in the full spine, a generous bend in the knees to really find that length. And then slowly starting to straighten the legs, dragging the heels back, and pausing at that point of resistance. One more breath here. All right, on your next inhale, lifting that right leg, point the toes. Exhale, rounding through the chest, bringing that knee in through center. Can we round, press tuck in, and then gently stepping it through. Setting up for high lunge here. So crescent roots, knee directly over your heel, and then on your inhale, starting to rise up, extending the arms up in front of you for our high crescent. So your right hip is angled back, left hip is angled down. We're really trying to stretch that left hip flexor. Our arms are reaching up, they're active, or maybe they're at heart center, just feeling what feels safer in your body today. And maybe we're staying here, or as you're feeling ready, start to windmill open to the right side of your mat. So as we're opening, we're really bringing that right hip back, left hip forward. We're stretching our arms east to west, and we're focusing on our roots. I'm spending too much time focusing on my hands, but we're imagining rotating our chest to the right side of our mat. And maybe we're staying here, or maybe we take that right hand and it finds the back of the left thigh, and our left arm reaches up, starting to breathe into that left side of the body. The more we reach up, the more we sink in, grounding in through our roots. And then as we're ready, starting to windmill back through center. Hands can stay lifted or maybe at heart center. We're starting to ground down in that right foot, start to bend into that left leg. We're going to launch off into Warrior Three. So feeling strong in the back line, bending that foot, flexing the foot, really feeling that activation. Maybe a gentle bend in that right knee gives us the space to lift up higher. And this is also a great place for a block if we need it. It can support you as we are lifted. Maybe you got that shake, that quake. I do, because it is rough in the morning for me. So we're staying here. Or maybe start to bend into both knees, bringing the left knee behind the back for a little Shiva squat. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten one last time. And then step back down into our high lunge. Straighten that right leg, start to hinge forward, bringing the hands down for a pyramid pose. And again, our hands could be pressing into the earth, or maybe we want to bring that block in for support. We're trying to drive the right hip back, straighten that left hip down, leading with the heart, hinging deeper. And then as we're ready, start to ground those hands down, coming into a low lunge. So giving that right side a little bit of relief. And again, your hands can stay on the ground. Maybe they're on a block on the inside. Finding what feels right. You're welcome to stay here. Maybe we can wiggle that foot deeper, sink the hips down, lifting through the heart. Maybe we stay here. Maybe we ground down in that left hand, right arm windmills open into a twist. And again, staying here or starting to reach back. Maybe we touch the right thigh, right hand to the thigh, or maybe we bend the foot and grab onto that left foot. Get a little bit of a quad stretch. Again, all beautiful options. Find the one that works for you. And soften in. And then as you're ready, start to windmill the hands back down, pushing the hips back, coming into a half splits. So with each inhale, can we lengthen the heart? And each exhale, fold in deeper. Maybe the hands are on the inside of the foot. Maybe they're framing the foot. Maybe we're finding stillness, or maybe we're finding some movement, shaking the hips from side to side. One more breath here. Then we're going to start to walk the hands forward, rebend that right foot, tuck the back toes, lift the legs up, and then start to straighten the hands. Walk to the side of our mats for our wide-legged fold. So we want our feet either parallel or pigeon-toed in a bit, and micro bend in the knees. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen through the spine, and exhale, fold in. So we can stay here, and again, a great place for a block if you want to get a little bit more support. And maybe we're just staying, working on folding in, or maybe we go for a little twist. So your left hand roots down underneath the heart. Inhale, right arm reaches up. And as you notice, as I start to open, that left hip wants to go with it. So can we keep our hips square as we twist? And maybe we lift the gaze. Breathing deeply. And then release. Right hand plants down. It replaces the left hand directly under the heart. And on our inhale, we windmill open to the left, trying to keep those hips square. Maybe the gaze is lifted, or maybe it's grounded down. And breathing deeply. And then we release. Both hands grounding down. Maybe take one more moment in our fold to go a little bit deeper. And then as we're ready, we start to walk those hands over to the other side of our mat, setting up for our crescent high lunge on the other side. So grounding down in our roots, knee directly over the heel, maybe a little bend in the back leg to give us that space. And on our inhale, we lift up to crescent high lunge. So same options this side, and maybe we need something different this side. First, we're building that strong crescent. That right hip is sliding down. Left hip sliding down, right hip angled back. Arms are reaching up, pinky spiraling in. And maybe we're trying to get a nice neutral pelvis. We tend to kind of arch our back here. So can we tuck that tailbone and lift up? Maybe the hands are at heart center. Or maybe we start to windmill open to the side. So as we do that, that right hip really angles down, left hip reaches back, stretching our arms east to west. And maybe we stay here. Or maybe we start to drop that back hand, finding your thigh. Right arm reaches up, pinky is spiraling in, palm is reaching back. And maybe we lift our gaze. The higher we reach, the deeper we sink, active in whatever is lifted. Try not to lift the gaze too much or you get that shake. All right, then on your inhale, coming back through center. Starting to prepare for our warrior three. So maybe your hands are coming to heart center, starting to get lighter on that back leg, grounding down in that front leg. And as we're ready, launching off, finding our warrior pose. So again, a great place for a block if you would like it. Flexing that foot helps keep those hips square, helps keep the legs active. Maybe your hands are at our block, maybe they're at heart center, maybe we're taking flight, maybe they're at airplane wings. And that shake, that quake, that balance is what we're working on. Maybe we're staying here, or maybe we start to take those Shiva squats again. Inhales, bending down, and then straightening. And then bending in, and straightening. One more time, bending in. And inhale, lengthen, flex that foot, and then gently starting to rebend that leg, coming back into our warrior two. Breathing here for one moment and straightening that front leg, setting up for our pyramid pose. So hinging over that straight front leg, lengthening through the spine, and then hinging deeper. And then taking a moment here to find what feels good. Maybe we're taking a block again to give us a different space, different grounding. Or maybe our hands are framing the foot. Maybe we're just noticing where we're at today. You know, that shake, that quake, that's what we're working on. It's building strength. And if you're like me, you're working out on carpet right now, it really challenges your balance. It's very different depending on the surface that you're working on. So just taking a moment to notice and observe, what more can you learn and work on in this moment? All right, starting to walk those hands forward, bending the knee, dropping that knee down, coming into our low lunge. So maybe we are staying here. That toes can be tucked or untucked. Maybe we're sinking the hips down and lifting the heart. Maybe we're rocking the hands to the inside, get a little bit deeper. Or if you want to go for that quad stretch, that hand is directly underneath the heart. Our right arm is grounded, left arm windmills open to the side. Maybe we're just reaching up, north to south, working on the twist. Or maybe that right arm goes all the way back. Maybe it touches your back thigh. And if you're ready to start to bend that back foot, maybe it reaches the foot, maybe it doesn't. Just finding where we are and softening in. If we are going for that quad stretch, we're kicking into the hand as we're pulling it back. That equal and opposite activation, giving us some space and stability. One more breath. And as we're ready, releasing that foot. If we have it, walking the hands forward, starting to tuck the toes, sink the hips back, coming into our half splits. So we're trying to flex that foot, keeping it active, driving the hip back. Maybe a micro bend in the leg gives us the space to bend a little bit deeper. And maybe closing the eyes as we soften in a little bit more. And breathing through it. And then we release. So start to rebend that front foot, walking the hands forward, tucking the toes, and then stepping the right foot back and giving yourself a nice little relief here in downward dog. So maybe taking a moment to notice how you're feeling now as we're more warmed up, more in our bodies. And a moment of appreciation for all the work, the benefits that we can receive. And as you're ready, bend the knees, look forward, and slowly pressing into your hands, rounding through the shoulders the whole time. Can we tippy-toe those feet forward, using those hands as brakes to come into a forward fold. So maybe we're staying here. Maybe your hands stay on the floor. Maybe you want to wrap your arms around the legs and hug them, sway side to side. Or maybe you want to do Padahastasana. So taking your hands, back of the palms pressing down, picking up your feet, start to slide your feet over your hands underneath your feet. And then once you got that, start to roll the weight into the balls of your feet to kind of give your more pressure onto your palms. And then you can stay here or start to bend the elbows to pull the upper body down. And maybe you're rubbing the toes in, giving your wrist a little massage, swaying side to side. Tucking the chin, growing heavy, and just breathing along the whole back line. All right, then as you're ready, release the hands, give them a moment, maybe shake them out, wiggles, reorient yourself. And as you're ready, start to wiggle walk the feet out to mat's width. So your heels are pointed in, feet are kind of straddling the edges of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. And then exhale, start to bend the knees, sink the hips down, coming into our Malasana squats. So depending on where you are, you might want to take that block, bringing it underneath your hips to kind of sit onto it. Or maybe you're warmed up enough, you can go lower or without it entirely. But it's early in the day for me, so I'm using my block, and that's okay. Maybe we're staying with your hands at heart center. If you are, try to take your hands, pressing them into each other to press the elbows out, and the elbows are making contact with your knees, so gently press the knees open too. We're trying to sit up tall through the spine, roll the shoulders down, and taking a moment to just breathe here. So depending on where you are in your yoga journey, this used to be a very intense pose for me. So if that is you, that is okay. And you might not be sitting on a block at all. You might be up high. That's okay too. Your job is to find space and softness in the pose, however we can. So maybe by closing your eyes, that gives you the ability to kind of tune into your body and just notice where you're feeling it. Can we then start to send the breath to where we're feeling it and then soften in a little deeper? Let's do one more breath. And then we're going to start to release. So starting to sink those hips up a bit to remove the block if we were using it. Start to reach those hands forward and then start to sink those hips back, coming onto our seats. So setting our feet up for butterfly pose. So feet are pressing into each other, like starting to spread them open as if they were the pages of a book. You can play with the placement of the feet. Maybe the farther out you take it, the more it gets into your IT band, your outer hip. The closer in you bring them, the more it gets into your groin, your inner hip. So just kind of play with where you want to put them today. And then just settle in with that. And again, depending on how open you are, you might want to take the block underneath your knees. That can give you some good support here too. So you can try that if you would like, or not. It's always just an option. Then on your inhale, lengthen, get a nice flat back. And on your exhale, start to hinge forward, going a little deeper. So a couple of breaths here to start to ground in. And just notice our hips rooted into the earth. Can we breathe a little softness into that tightness and place a little awareness in our presence? All right, inhale, start to walk yourself back up. We're going to take that right foot and bringing it on top of the left. Start to slide the left foot over, setting up for a fire log pose. So ideally, we want our feet, our shins stacked on each other. Actually, I'll pivot this way so you can see me a little bit more. So pivoting our shins so they are stacked on top of each other. You might not be there all the way just yet, but you're working them towards stacked on top, flexing those feet and sitting in here. So on your inhales, we're going to lengthen. Maybe our arms are reaching forward, and then exhale, start to fold in. So a couple of breaths here to just start to get into that right hip, but we're really flexing the feet to keep the joints safe. And maybe this is enough. This is where you want to stay. You're welcome to it. If you would like to go in for a little twist, we're going to start to bring our hands back up and maybe twisting open to the left. So depending on how open you are, this might be a good place to stay. If you want to try to go for a deeper twist, maybe you take your hands to heart center and try to take that right elbow, bringing it to the right foot, and really use that connection to push into the hands, to push the chest, rotate it a little bit deeper. So really trying to start to bring some awareness into these different connections, these different bandhas that we can make, these locks with our body. And by using that pressure the same way as we did in Malasana with our elbows pressed into our knees, it gives us just a little bit more depth to twist deeper if we choose. All right, inhale, coming back through center. Maybe twist for a moment the other way, just to kind of counter it out. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So if you would like to just swap out your legs, get the left foot on top, you're welcome to it. Or you can do a fun little twist. Start to bring your hands over to your left side. Start to bring that right foot grounded in. And then start to lift your hips and swivel around. And then you have your legs set up for the other side. So same shape, just with the left leg now on top. So playing with the adjustments. Maybe your feet need to be out farther, inner, but one day we're going to have them stacked directly on top of each other in our fire log pose. Feet are flexed. Inhale, we lengthen, arms up, and exhale, we hinge forward. So spending a few minutes here, feeling it out. With each inhale growing taller, exhale, hinging deeper. And maybe we want to stay here. Maybe that's enough today. If we would like to bring in that twist, on our next inhale, arms come up. And on our exhale, we windmill open to the right side of our mat. Left foot coming on to, left hand coming with your right foot. And maybe looking over our shoulder. And this might also be enough. So if this is a good twist, stay. Don't ever push yourself too far. If you want to go deeper, taking those hands into heart center, bringing them in so you have your wrists at 90, getting that twist, bringing your left elbow to your left foot, really pressing that right hand into the palm to press into the foot, gives you the space to twist just a little bit more. And using that leverage to find a little bit more depth. Maybe having our navel to spine, giving us the space to twist. And then we release, coming back through, maybe doing a nice little counter twist just for a moment. And then setting up for a bridge pose to close it all in. So having our feet grounded down, let's do a little bit more core work. Hands are reaching out in front of us, and as slowly as we can, using that strong core to lower vertebrae by vertebrae. and then grounding down. So setting up for bridge, you're kind of working your feet towards your hips, maybe to where you can touch the backs of your heels. And traditionally your heels are hips width, but depending on your body, you might need to take them a little bit wider. You can kind of just play with what feels good today in your knees. And using your hands, pressing into the mat on your inhale, lift the hips and squeezing in. Can we lift the hips higher, squeezing our glutes, pressing the earth away, feeling our back engage, and maybe imagining or sliding our heels towards the back of the mat to really press the hips just a little bit higher. And then exhale, we release. Pausing for a moment, letting those knees fall in. We'll do that one more time. And if you would like to do a bridge pose instead, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you're welcome to it. I'm going to do one more bridge. So taking those hands, pressing them in, driving down through the heels to lift up, and really pressing down through my toes, the big toes and pinky toes. Maybe we stay here, or maybe we start to walk the hands underneath the body. And maybe we can kind of clasp the hands and really press into the earth just to get a little bit deeper into our shoulders. Can we squeeze our glutes, press the earth away, and then we release, lowering down, pausing for a moment to let your spine come back to neutral, and then maybe taking those knees and hugging them in one last time. So taking some deep breaths, feeling the weight of the earth, pressing the spine a little flatter. And then going into one last little twist. So letting your legs fall over to the left. Maybe your arm reaches out to the right. And maybe we cactus, maybe we don't. Breathing slowly. And then release. Using that strong core, can you bring your legs back through center? Make sure your spine is neutral and then let them topple over to the right as we look to the left. Maybe your hands are staying extended. Maybe one is resting on the legs to just ground in. And breathing space and grace. Right, and as you're ready, we release. So using that core one last time, coming back through center. And then as you're ready, setting up for our final Savasana. So again, maybe starting traditionally with your feet flopping open, or maybe you want to bend your knees and support like we did at the beginning. Just taking whatever is calling to you in this moment, and a few good breaths here at the end to just notice our bodies and notice what's coming up, and just giving them a chance to have some good intentional rest. Right, so if Savasana is calling to you, of course you're welcome to stay. Just tune me out or press pause. If you're ready to be guided out, gently start to bring some movement back to your fingers and toes. Maybe starting to get some wrist circles, some ankle circles, just welcoming that gradual, bigger movements. And then starting to extend your arms up overhead in a nice, big, good morning stretch. And gently starting to roll over to your favorite side. Pausing for a moment to let your spine come back to neutral. And as you're ready, starting to lift yourself up, coming into a comfortable seat. Maybe keeping your eyes closed for just a moment more to hold on to that intentionality, that mindfulness. Maybe your hands are on your knees, bracing your shoulders to get that nice support. Or maybe they're coming into heart center. Maybe you're rubbing them together for just a moment to feel that heat, that friction, that prana energy that we have been cultivating. And then pausing for a moment in stillness and gratitude for all of the work that you have done today on the mat. We all benefit off of the mat. So I truly thank you for taking the time to take care of yourself. Because if your own cup is empty, you can't take care of others. So I thank you so much for putting in the work. And until we meet on our mats again, I bow to you and say, Om Shanti, peace, peace within, peace around, and peace to those who need it most. Thank you so much. I hope this was helpful. Let me know how it did for you. Likes, dislikes, comments, complaints, whatever. I'd love to hear it. And I will see you on our mats again soon. Bye.